Welcome to the Ultra World Podcast, the soccer fan's voice from the stands, with your hosts, Marc and Sean Castles, coming to you from Radio Waves Studios in New York City. Now, let's kick off the show.
And hi again, everyone. I am indeed Marc with Sean Castles, my co-host alongside. Now, we have already chatted with Christian Polanco. Today, we are thrilled to be joined by the other half, maybe the better half because he's here, recency bias and all, of the Soccer Cooligans, who just happens to be an Arsenal supporter. So he's got to be floating on cloud nine with the Gunners as we speak. 7 points up at the top of the Premier League table. Alexis Guerreros.
Hey, thank you.
Welcome to our Ultra World.
Yeah, not often you do a podcast where someone's wearing a blazer. This is a special moment.
For the record, Aston Villa colors, because we went to Aston Villa supporters stuff over the weekend at the Football Factory, and I have to go run out of here and do a college basketball game for a team that wears garnet and gold, and this is as close to garnet.
I never realized you would match it to the color. That's fairly professional.
It's also a good luck thing.
Yeah,
Some of the parents appreciate when I wear this jacket. It's got a winning record, so I'm hoping to bring the St. Thomas Aquinas College Spartans
it's also
a double dose of good luck. Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. I have like 5 of these now in different colors.
You go to one of those
very smooth
Taiwanese dudes that gets a hotel room?
No, these are Macy's, man.
Oh, Macy's.
Yeah,
all right, very cool.
No. That's nice. What is that, velvet?
I don't chintz out. No, but it's very soft.
It does feel very soft. It feels like a nice couch.
Cool. How have you been? You know,
really
I
good.
had you and Christian on when I was at a certain radio station here in town on Hudson Street. We were talking about this before. It was 8 years ago already.
Yeah, in fact, I've been trying to find. I know we're not going to mention the radio station. Apparently,
no, we don't talk about it anymore.
But when I was a little kid, my mom would sometimes
Don't say you used to listen to me in the car.
No, not you.
Okay.
My mom would listen to that old school radio station. It's the one that
Yep.
in the background at all
No
times.
more of that. No more ticker, yeah.
But there was a guy who's a legend in my head, and I cannot find any old. Like, it's not on YouTube anywhere.
Yeah.
Larry Wachtel. Does that name ring a bell?
Course. Yeah.
This guy sounded like a deli owner who was telling you about stocks, but he actually knew about stocks. But his accent was the marble mouth New York accent. And I'm like, as a kid, I want to be this guy so bad.
Larry, who has left us, R.I.P.
Yes,
Larry
I found that
Wachtel,
out.
I'm pretty sure was the one whose catchphrase was "Gather those rosebuds."
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I haven't thought of that since
Yep.
Oh my God, dude. When I was a kid, this is Larry Wachtel. It's like, dude, you should be screaming about the Jets while eating a turkey sandwich. You shouldn't be telling me about stocks, but it was the best. And I found out I ended up working with someone who's like a cousin of his, like a niece of a cousin. And I was like, oh my God, can I meet him? And she was like, relax. I haven't seen that guy in 15 years.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
was freaking out. I'm the only person who knows who Larry Wachtel is.
Well,
I wish I could find old radio stuff of him just to hear it again.
Let me get on that with the
Please.
production guy at that
If you
particular
could.
outlet, and we'll see if we can come up with anything.
But
that'd be neat.
we hung out in 2018.
Yeah.
You interviewed me.
On
And,
video,
Christian.
too.
On video, yeah.
It's still out
It's
there
still
on
out
YouTube.
there, right?
You
Yeah.
can find me and the Soccer Cooligans if you try hard enough.
Yeah,
we had
and
a great chat that day. It was
We
fun.
did. I will correct something you said. You think I'm on cloud 9 with Arsenal. No, this is where the dread sets in. You
What?
know? Yeah, dude. This is football fandom, baby. I'm a soccer fan for real.
7 points clear?
Doesn't matter. Could have been
Past
9.
the midway point?
It should have been 9.
Could have been 9.
All right.
It should have been 9. Dude, there's this thing that Manchester City or Pep Guardiola does, which is where they look terrible. They just lost to Bodo Glimt.
We
of
just
all
talked
teams.
about that. Yeah, it's 30. It was like 20 degrees there.
Doesn't matter. There's a thing where it's like he sees red. You know what I mean? Like, this is the origin story of Pep the villain. Every year, something around this time, I think he does it on purpose. I think he shows the team, you're not as good as you think you are. You need to turn it on. And I mean, Erling Haaland's going to score 55 more goals this season, and they're going to beat us by 1 point at the end of the season.
You're more worried about Man City than Villa?
By far.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, Villa. They've never been this high. I mean, in a long time. I know we got soccer fans that are going to listen to this. This is the first time they've been this high. Their nose are bleeding. They have no idea what they're doing.
They have a
right now.
horseshoe in their ass this
Yeah,
season. It's
100%.
like unbelievable.
People pay for that, and they get it for free. As an Arsenal fan, I'm just ready for what the collapse is. Now, I did get invited by the Premier League to any game I want this season. Me and a partner, or somebody else, right? It's 2 tickets to any game. I'm so afraid to say I want to go to the last game of the season away at Crystal Palace because the reason I want to go to that game is because then I'm there in case there is a parade. But even emailing that would admit it to the universe that I think it's going to happen, which means it will not happen, and then I'm going to be at Crystal Palace away doing nothing.
You don't want to balance it out with a little bit of Woody Johnson, Schadenfreude there that they're going to wipe the floor with Crystal Palace.
Don't ever mention Jets anything when Arsenal, please.
Sorry. As a Jets fan here, we
have you seen how many Brits are Jets fans?
No.
Because of the King of Queens and all that, like they think like that's the cool New York team versus the Giants. What a torturous life to wake up at 3 a.m. to watch the Jets.
Well, you know what's funny is it'd be one thing if there's no internet and you can't figure out like the history of the Jets who haven't been to a Super Bowl in 57 years and change, but you can readily access this information to know they haven't made the playoffs in 15 years.
They're not even, like, I hate the Chiefs, don't get me wrong, but they're not even latching onto the Mahomes or even the old Brady Patriots. They're going to the Jets.
I mean, you can.
I mean, I love it.
Please. I also think like you pick a team based on what city would I actually want to go to.
That's true.
You can look like me on ice skates and back your way into the playoffs, but the Jets haven't been able to do it in 15 years. That's insanity.
I'm a Rams fan, and so I would be like, I'm picking the Rams. And actually, I have a really quick question for you here, because Kroenke is part owner of Arsenal, and I hear Arteta and McVay, who's my favorite coach, are friends. Have you heard anything about this, that they talk to each other?
I haven't, but the way Mikel Arteta tries to draw inspiration for tactics, I mean, this is something we're probably going to talk about on tomorrow's episode, which is Pep Guardiola for very long was the guy inventing new tactics that everyone had to catch up to, and now it seems like he's catching up to, the Bournemouths, the Villas, the Arsenals. And even though some of them are Pepites, they're from the Pep tree, they've kind of adapted. Mikel Arteta is one of those. He looks at things like, what's the NBA doing? What's working in rugby? What's working in the NFL? He does all of that.
Yeah.
So it makes complete sense.
McVay's a genius.
Yeah, I mean, and just as simple as, remember when Pep was at the NBA Finals with the Celtics coach, and Pep was... You couldn't tell what he was saying. I
didn't know that.
Pep went to the game, and he pulled the coach aside, and he's doing his hands, and we're like, he's doing defensive formations for the NBA.
That's
and
amazing.
the coach was like, yo, that guy's a genius.
Yeah.
He's a big soccer fan already, so he kind of already understood it. I think Mikel Arteta is doing the same thing. I think he's saying, like, what works there. I honestly think, based on the way soccer tactics are moving, we may see pick and roll come in. No joke.
That'd be
we may see
interesting.
pick and roll come into the game. Because right now it's very much man marking.
Yeah.
And teams are using set pieces because they're like, we don't know how to break these defenses down, so we need to win in all the margins. I honestly think we're going to start to see pick and rolls because once you do a pick and roll, your man marking is collapsed.
Yep.
You have to make a decision. Go over it or go under it.
Everyone's grabbing each other underneath there and pulling each other
in the NBA,
down.
you're like, oh, it's a timeout. Come over here. Hey, stop going over it. Go under it. You can't do that in soccer. You're stuck 45 minutes. You got to hope you could scream loud enough for the guy to hear you. So I honestly think Mikel Arteta's talking. He might be talking to a badminton coach.
Hey, you mentioned upcoming episode. Obviously, the Cooligans. You guys are celebrating your 10th season already.
It's crazy.
Time has flown. Huh?
I wish we did seasons. We're too stupid to have an off season. That's 10 years of 52 weeks of episodes straight.
God bless.
Yeah, I think we've taken, now that we signed with Yahoo for the last 2 years, they do dark weeks, so we've taken some of those time, but we'll pre-batch an episode to release during that time. It's been crazy. It's been nuts, just an idea I had, going to, looking at content and realizing, like, all right, there's a lot of really cool stuff, but no one kind of talks like the way I do. And Christian and I would kind of hang out during shows, and we'd be in the back of the room instead of talking about like what set we're gonna do. We'd be like, "Yo, did you see what Manchester United is doing? Did you see blah blah blah?" So like we already kind of have this rapport. I was like, "Let's just do a soccer show ourselves and see where it goes." And my best guess was we'll have enough fans that they'll buy tickets to see us perform stand up. And the idea that the career kind of almost flip-flopped. Yeah, it's crazy to me because I was like, I'll never get on TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're never,
Let me
look at
pull
me.
back.
I wear hoodies.
How did you get into soccer to begin with? Because you're a New York kid, soccer.
I'm also Cuban.
And Cuban,
It's like the least.
That's baseball.
Yeah.
They should be in baseball.
They call it balompié, bro. They don't even care. Well, at least in my grandfather's generation was like, what are you doing? And this is a true story. He pulled me aside. He pulled up a baseball game when I was a little kid, and we were signing up for sports, and I was like, I want soccer. My mom's like, no, baseball. Like, it's like 2 blocks away.
That's the national game.
Please don't make me drive you all the way to soccer. And I was like, I want soccer. And my grandfather was like, okay. My grandfather, old school. He put on TV, and there was a guy named Andres Scalaraga, I think
Oh,
his name
yeah.
was.
Yeah,
Andres
of course.
Guerreros.
They put him,
Expos.
the big
Rockies,
cat, right?
Expos,
Yeah.
Yep.
Fat guy. Put him on. He goes, look, you have a chance.
You play catcher.
He's pointing. He's like, look at this guy, okay? And I played catcher for about 6-7 years. They were like, put the big boy right there. You don't got to run. Just all you got to do is pop a squat. It's your
Knees must
time.
be killing you.
Oh, dude, my knees were already hurting by the time I was like 20. They invented these pizza slice things that go behind your knees.
Right.
That came a little
The
too
wedges,
late. Yeah,
yeah.
the wedges. So I loved soccer growing up. Because I grew up in Newark.
Yeah.
Like soccer was so evident. I grew up tons of Puerto Ricans and Dominicans where I grew up, so all of us love baseball. But once you left that 8-block radius, it was a lot of Trinidadians, Grenadans, Jamaicans, and then eventually you got to the Brazilian, the Portuguese, the Spaniards that were left kind of in that neighborhood. Everyone else played soccer. Soccer was so popular. We all wore sambas. Being a fan of soccer, understanding who some of the big names were at that time, kind of meant you were cool in that neighborhood, bigger than knowing any baseball. I mean, everyone wore Yankee hats and stuff, and baseball was evident, but soccer was a real thing. We all used to play 5-a-side or pick up soccer at lunch, at recess. It was just very common. So for me, it felt normal. And then once I kind of left that Newark bubble, I realized we're the only ones that do this.
Yeah.
Then Kearney as well. Kearney's a big soccer town. As well.
Huge, of course.
Then
A lot of
how-
guys from the national team wound up,
Tony
Tab
Miola,
Ramos.
Tab Ramos, yeah.
How did Arsenal come into how did you come into Arsenal fandom?
So a lot of the kids I grew up with, a lot of the kids I grew up with were Portuguese, and the one thing about Portuguese dads, it seems like all of them were construction at that time. And the reason I know that is because they all had massive extensions on their homes, these tiny, crappy homes with these massive extensions, skylights and all that. And I remember my Portuguese friends would all throw these huge weekend parties, and it's just invite everyone who has kids over. All the kids all play together. So I would go there. My mom's like, that'll keep you busy. She works at that time she was working 5 jobs at the same time. So my mom's like, go hang out with the Portuguese kids. They literally 1 million kids. It's basically free babysitting. So all of them would have these massive satellites they used to spin in the backyard so they could watch the Portuguese league.
Yeah.
So there'd be constantly soccer on at all times. And I remember used to ask oh, is this your favorite team? And they're like, no, we're just watching the sport. I'm like, you're just wasting your time watching a sport, you're not rooting? And it didn't click. Well, after the Portuguese league would come on the Premier League.
Okay.
And it was right around the time where the Premier League started. It was very popular. So I said who's that guy? There was one guy just running past everybody, and everybody else felt brutish. You know what I mean? Felt like they should have been in black and white.
They're all Vinnie Jones.
Yeah,
They're all-
and this guy is just in full Panavision color. You're just the most. I was like, this guy's electric. That guy's name is Thierry Henry. And that was it. I was done. After that, after I saw him, I was a little bit older. I wasn't a kid, but once I saw him, I was like, that's it. This guy is how come we're not talking about him the way we talk about Jordan, And
See, I was just thinking that. He was poetry in motion, just like Michael Jordan was
100%.
on the basketball court. Absolutely.
He's probably the most. We've talked about this before. How he's more recognized when he goes anywhere in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Steve Nash next to him. No one cares. Everyone's going to Thierry Henry. It doesn't matter who's next to him in American sports. There's enough Europeans and South Americans who are in whatever state or city we're in that they'll notice Thierry Henry first and be like, that's the most famous.
Because of how I ending up on CBS, I got a chance to walk with him in Soho for 4 blocks. We were going from the hotel he was staying in to the restaurant we were going to eat at. And in those 4 blocks, I thought to myself, I wonder if anyone's going to notice him.
Yeah.
Or recognize him. And it was 3 or 4 people walked by and no one even looked up. He's a tall, imposing guy. It was summertime.
He's very handsome.
Yeah, very striking look. Right, it was summertime, so he wasn't wearing a jacket and a hat or anything. It was you could tell it was him. He was wearing maybe shorts and a t-shirt. And I'm 3 or 4 people. I'm nobody noticed. We're also in Soho where the streets weren't that super busy.
It's the cobble streets. It's
we turn and it becomes mayhem. Yo, can I get a picture? Oh my God, yo, people snapping photo. Who are you? Get out of the way. People are yo, take a picture of us.
American kids have no idea who he is.
Yeah.
It's all the foreigners.
But also,
who
I
know
think
exactly who he is.
it's actually the younger American kids who know he is because of TikTok.
That's true,
TikTok has made the player more famous than the club, which when we were young, when I was young, no chance at all that was the case.
And he's on all the broadcasts too. He's a broadcaster
his
now.
His clips are everywhere. His memes are everywhere. Yep. And he's just one of those people that I was floored that people came up to him. One kid called him Thierry. I'm like, he didn't even know how to pronounce his name, but he knew who he was.
Yeah.
That actually is kind of telling. I was like, man, I'm surprised. It took 30 minutes to make that 4-block walk.
I still remember that France team because I was in France during the '98 World Cup when they won.
Lucky you.
It was. I mean, I didn't get to go to any games, but just being there and him and older Thuram and stuff. Yeah. It was an all-star team, and it was incredible. Just the entire city erupting.
Yeah.
It's like World Cup, and I can just only imagine. He was, national hero.
Were you in Paris?
I was in Paris, and then we went down to Aix-en-Provence, and we saw them. France beat Italy, and the streets just erupted. Like literally, Aix-en-Provence looks very different now. That was like 20 years ago, but like everyone was out. People were dancing in the fountains. Like I'd never seen anything. I've seen national championships at Duke, and you see all the kids tear down the goalposts and stuff. Like this was next level. It was the whole fucking city.
By the way, that was almost 30 years ago.
Let's say we're not going to age ourselves here.
It's funny. I was about to say it's been 32 since we had the cup here, and obviously the final '94 was at the Rose Bowl. We're going to have the final this year in our own backyard. It's going to be nuts, yes, but to a degree, because it's over in Jersey, it's not going to have the same feel as if it was here on the island.
Yeah. Because I think if you're traveling all the way here, I mean, if you're trying to
and by island, I mean the island of Manhattan.
Yeah.
Don't want angry emails.
Yeah. Right? I feel like the vibe in New York is going to be like it's happening in Times Square. I think it's going to feel that way. I think people keep saying like it's happening in Jersey, it's happening in Jersey. That's just where the stadium is.
Yeah.
I think most people are going to look at where am I going to hang out if I'm traveling? If I spent my whole life or the last few years saving up for this, you're not going to go to, you're not going to go to like, Metuchen. You know what I mean? You're not going to go to West Caldwell.
Legends is going to be packed. Legends is going
to be packed. The streets are going to be filled. Every World Cup, even when it's not here, it feels like it's happening here. Yeah. Because especially if you're walking in Midtown, for all the negatives about Midtown, the positive is there's restaurants and bars for every nationality all across Midtown. And it's tons of bars and tons of like those fake Irish pubs, you know what I mean? That like used to be clothing stores, 6 months prior.
Yeah, they pop up there.
Yeah, they'll suddenly have wood interiors. They're all going to be people pouring out of those, celebrating goals and stuff. I remember I went to a place called Amsterdam Ale House for the goal where Landon Donovan scored against Algeria. I just happened to be walking by, and I knew they had like a space in the back. I got one of the last seats. I was pretending I was a consultant at the time. I was pretending to be at a meeting.
Yeah.
And it felt like I was at the stadium. Like people were picking each other up. It's gonna be lively, man.
For the record, I was just remembering what happened when we had the Super Bowl here.
Yeah.
At MetLife 12 years ago, and it got swallowed up by everything else that goes on in New York. It was just like another Sunday.
Also, people are like, "Are you gonna go?" I'm like, even if you gifted me a ticket, I'm not sitting in that traffic coming back.
Yeah. It's going to be a scene.
For the World Cup final, I'll sit in the traffic.
Right.
I'll live in the traffic for a day.
I'll walk.
Yeah. Done.
What was
but
it?
for a Super Bowl, I can watch.
Was it the South American Cup in Miami where it was just all bedlam and the
Copa America?
The Copa America.
Tickets. Yeah, they had a ticket snafu, and they had like
security only opened one gate.
Yeah,
so people started.
That was nuts.
Everyone bum rushed it.
That was one of the concerns when they talked about having the cup here.
Yeah.
How are we gonna? It's not going to be that bad. Now, I've joked for 12 years that there are some people who took the train and trying to leave MetLife might still be on the platform.
Yeah.
I think they'll handle that a lot better, too.
I hope so, because I know that train only happens when there's games, right? So I hope they're prepared. Have you seen, like, the outer barrier they've put? Like, they put, like, these cinder block walls around
I
MetLife.
did when I saw Oasis. It's a giant pain in the ass, yes.
Yeah.
A big, giant pain
I
in
went
the
there for Copa, what was it? Not Copa, Club World Cup.
Yep.
And I was like, this is insane. No matter where you park, you all have to walk to one area. It makes sense once you're past them.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this is a little weird. It feels very dystopian.
Speaking of places you're going to watch, what is your favorite bar, favorite bar, I'll say, or favorite place outside of your home to watch a game?
By far, it's Fancy Free in Fort Greene. I mean, most of the time that I'm out watching, I'm watching Arsenal games or I'm watching Champions League. It's like multicultural. It's like super diverse. People dress dope. Like everybody sits outside when it's like warm out. If it's like a summertime competition, it's like such a cool vibe. The food's great. Christian and I did a video on it as like, what's a good place to watch Champions League? And Daniel Kaluuya was standing behind us for half the video. I was just like, what a cool place. Spike Lee's office is upstairs, so it draws a lot of actors and writers and stuff who like go downstairs. Also, huge Knicks bar, great place to watch a Knicks game. It's just such a dope vibe. You'd walk past it and not think it, other than like the massive Arsenal flag that they have. But you wouldn't think like that's that place. But it's like it's such a the vibe is, and I've traveled to England 6 times a year for the last few years. I go to so many pubs. I watch games all over the world. I've watched games in Paris. I've watched games all over this country. There's no bar, doesn't matter what country or what state, that is like fancy free. It's such an experience.
All right, and that's Fort Greene.
In Fort Greene,
Green. And then you've been
not far from our neighborhood. It's like a 20-minute walk.
I'm definitely gonna hit that. I'm gonna have to drag you out there.
Let's go.
Favorite stadium to watch? I know you're gonna say probably Arsenal, but take away your Arsenal fandom. What's the best soccer stadium you've been to?
That's a great question. I would say, if I would have to pick like the best atmosphere or vibe, it was a weird game, but the Champions League final at Başakşehir Stadium in Istanbul was like, it was like being in, it's like those stadiums you only hear about where like the seats are like, just a piece of plastic on concrete. And, it's like, you could tell that they were like, who cares? We're here for the game. I want no frills. It felt like that. In a way, they have these massive wedding tents with like these blow up tunnels to walk as like the VIP area.
Yeah.
Because there's just nothing in the stadium besides seats. And there was something about the vibe of it that felt very old school. I also got to go to Goodison Park, which is where Everton played up until last season, which was designed by the same designer as Highbury, Arsenal's old stadium that I never got to go to when I was young. And that gave me a little bit of closure. And like, like if you have, Chelsea's a good, like Stamford Bridge is a good example where like the camera will pan to a player, like it's a field level camera, pan, and it feels like the fan is breathing on their neck.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like, they're further away, but like they're just right on top. That feeling, I got that at Goodison. I've been to Stamford Bridge and it didn't give me that feeling like you get on camera, but at Goodison, I'm like, yo, the crazy fans are in the Gladys Street end. It felt like they walked the pitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you're too close, bro. Like, I'm used to American sports. I'm like, where's security? Where's the camera crews?
Where's the line keeping DK Metcalf out of running into the stands there and Ron Artest?
Like an NFL game, there's like, it feels like, like an ancient war. There's like so many people on the sidelines.
There's a wall of security around
It's
there.
like watching Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? Where a soccer game, it's just the coach and then the camera and then the fans.
The NBA, like the NBA is the court is right on top of them, but those security guys are right in there. And as soon as the players leave the court, they're surrounded by security. It's not like among the fans.
Right. Also, the first 15 rows of most NBA games, the average fan can't afford to sit there anyway.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get crazy. You've got an actress from a show you've never seen sitting there.
Or the CEO of whatever.
The local scam artist.
Exactly. I got an AI company.
Yeah, I own 4 dealerships in the neighborhood.
Oh my God! Hey, real quick before we move along, I want to backtrack. Talk World Cup. You guys got to be a part of the draw ceremony in Times Square. What was that experience like?
It's when U.S. Soccer reached out, we were like, "Are you sure?" Like,
you have the right number.
Yeah, I don't say no to most money. Like, I've joked on the show, like, we'll advertise travel to NorthKorea.com. Like, we don't, you know what I mean? Like, we're happy to shill for whatever company wants us to shill for them. Obviously, those are jokes. We say no to a lot of stuff that we wouldn't support ourselves. But like, we understand. We know doing a soccer podcast, like when I told my wife I was going to do a soccer podcast, she's like, comedian and soccer podcast, do you ever want to pay the rent?
Yeah.
What are you going to open up a Blockbuster after this? Like, my wife's like, do something to me. I'm like, this will make money. And I didn't know how to prove it to her, but I kind of knew, like, we'll get other opportunities. There's not many comedians in the soccer space, so I knew we'd get hosting gigs and on-camera work. I kind of knew those things would come along. I never thought I'd get to the point where either TV or like U.S. Soccer, like the actual U.S. Soccer asking us to host or MC their event for them was, to me, insane. Like, the fact that came along, we've had to prove that we're not like maniacs. Yeah. It took like maybe 4 years. Like 2018 was 3 years in. That's right around the time people kind of at least welcomed us in.
Yeah.
We got into certain rooms where they're like, at least let us hear what you have to say. Because I think early on they were like, nope, we can't trust 2 comedians. We don't know what they're going to say. And we'd always say, like, we don't work off scripts. Just give us microphones. It takes a while before people trust you to do that.
Yeah, because who knows what you're going to come out with.
And I think people needed to realize, like, we're really brand safe. We'll push the envelope, but we do it in a way where you're not going to get in trouble and we're not going to get in trouble. And let me tell you, I do it all the time. I do that way more than Christian. Christian's like much more of a brand safe guy. I like to push the envelope. And brands have sat me down and go, I don't know how you got away with that. but you got away with it, and you did it in a way where no one gets in trouble. Thank you.
Yeah.
You caused a couple heart attacks, but other than that, you got fine. So for me, I think proving enough of that, it got U.S. Soccer. They came to a couple of our events because they were involved. And I think they saw like, okay, there's not many people in the business that can talk to fans the way these guys talk and can do it on the fly and off the cuff. Like, we'd have to script that for them. You don't have to do that for us. So even in the meeting we had with them early on, they were like, okay, so if this happens, what are you guys going to say? And we're like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can tell you what the first thing in my head is, but that would make you say you guys aren't hosting this.
Right. You're allowed to say anything you want once.
Yeah, exactly. That is true.
As I learned in radio for many, many years.
I learned that
you
on
can
live
say it
TV.
once. You don't get to say it again.
Yeah, I learned that on live TV as well. That was the reason we found out we could say shit on live TV.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I already dropped the F-bomb.
Yeah,
so.
you can bleep that out. They got like 48 guys back there.
It's all good.
But that was like a pivotal moment for us, just to be in Times Square hosting. It was the New York version of the draw, like the party. And it was just, I'm like, I can't believe we get to be involved. There was a moment where an award that means absolutely nothing was given away. I'm sure we all know what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. And the gentleman who won the award, he was talking.
Not really worth mentioning in this forum.
I'm not mentioning, but while that's happening, we're not supposed to talk on mic while like the event is happening.
Yeah.
But someone came up to me and said, hey, like the small pitch that they built, that's ready to go. Can you make an announcement? I said, I think I have to wait until commercial to do that. And they were like, okay, we're just going to sit here and wait. And the award acceptance speech was going very long. So I started the conversation with like, quick announcement, really sorry to interrupt this very important award. And everyone laughed. And I'm like, the head of U.S. Soccer came over, the person in charge of the event came over and like, I don't know how you did it.
Yeah, that's you're gonna be dragged up to the gulag.
Yeah,
if you're
the
not
moment
careful.
you started that sentence, we were all very worried.
Well, but to be fair, too, you're in New York City, which tends to run a little blue.
Yeah. There was a guy who was a big fan of what was happening on TV. Everyone else was like, get this off TV. Right.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew I was in a comfortable area. But you never know when you don't. I don't want to cause U.S. Soccer to go, this can cause issues for us. Exactly. So I needed to do it in a way where it wouldn't, rattle too much.
Yeah.
And I found like this, my brain just did it for me, thankfully. I found this little, the middle of that Venn diagram.
Yeah.
I think if you had grabbed the mic and said, all right, let's find the mute button on this guy, that might have been.
Yeah.
Mark
I would have
been dragged out. Mark would have gotten in big trouble there.
Which is why they didn't ask me to do it.
Yeah, but I would have loved to see the blazer. You would have worn, dog. Eagle on the inside.
Red, white, and blue.
Eagle on the inside. He's got mushrooms on the inside. It's coordinating. All right, you've been going around all these fan bases.
Yeah.
What's the most positive fan base? Who would you say?
Bournemouth or Brighton?
Okay.
There's something about those guys, man. They're just happy to be here, baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's not as much toxicity on both of those clubs. And I remember I made a joke at one of the fan fests, one of the NBC fan fests that we hosted. I said, Bournemouth, some guy in a Bournemouth. They didn't know who we were on microphone. We were walking around. And for the first 2 hours, it was just us on the speaker. So no one knew who's roasting us? Like, where's this voice coming from?
Yeah.
So I go, whoa, someone in a Bournemouth shirt just walked past me. Someone only shops at the clearance rack. And someone pulled me aside and was like, hey, could you not disparage any club?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. I was like, it's just jokes.
just
You don't
joke,
see them often. And the dude who was wearing the Bournemouth jersey came up to me. He's like, were you the guy who said that? I was like, yeah, man, I'm really sorry. He goes, dude, that was hilarious. He's like, I got it on a clearance rack. I was like, ah! We took a photo. I sent it to the person at NBC. Like, see? No issues. But that to me, like, the fun you can have with Bournemouth fans and Brighton fans, dude, they're just so happy that things are kind of working out positively for them. They're starting to put pressure on those clubs now, but for the most part, great fans.
But they're happy to be in the top 20.
Dude, they're just happy to be there.
And we mentioned Michael Jordan, the basketball version earlier. Michael B. Jordan happens to be a huge Bournemouth fan. He's a minority owner.
Can I tell you why I'm upset about that? Okay,
yes.
You don't have to call him that just because he's black. I know you didn't mean that. That was a joke. Here's why I'm upset about that.
Wow.
Michael B. Jordan is from Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be the first dude from Newark, New Jersey to own a Premier League club. Now, I'm nowhere near it and nowhere near as famous as Michael B. Jordan, but he beat me to it, dude.
Oh. I didn't know he was from North New Jersey. I always thought he was from Maryland. Newark.
I say Newark because I'm from there, but yes.
Sorry. I thought he was from Maryland. That's just a stupid Wire thing.
No, he's from Newark. Yeah, he was in The Wire early on.
Yeah. All right. Most annoying fan base.
I'm going to say my own, Arsenal.
Really?
Yeah, dude. To be honest, it's Manchester United fans. But I will say, or actually, you know what? It's Real Madrid fans, if we're being honest. I was going to say Arsenal because half of us believe we should win every year, and the other half of us are like, just don't say the word win, and I'm one of those. So for me, it draws us back, and we kind of sometimes look like idiots on the internet. There was one time where they thought Alexander Isak was coming from Real Sociedad to Arsenal, and Arsenal fans found that he had registered a license plate for a car in London. They were like, he's coming to Arsenal. I was like, this is crazy. Get off of this. Stop doing research. I think Arsenal fans would have found Osama bin Laden if he was possibly, signing with Arsenal. They would have found him a week after September 11th. For me, Real Madrid fans are because there's this belief, and it comes from the club, that they should just win every year.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get it, and you have the history of it. I've taken the tour of the Santiago Bernabeu. It's beautiful. The trophy, it's bigger than
it's huge.
Willowbrook Mall, to give you guys an idea.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's just huge. But to me, it's like there's an honor, there's a history. If they call, every player in the world will say yes.
Yes.
I get all of those things. But the way the fans talk about losing 6 matches, Xabi Alonso needed to go. It's like, bro, you guys, this isn't football anymore. This isn't soccer anymore. It's like, it's either you or Barca every year, and what, everyone else just, fights for crumbs? To me, it doesn't feel like the essence of the sport, the spirit of what the game calls for, is not what's happening in La Liga right now, especially considering both those clubs own the majority of the TV rights. And it's not fair to everyone else. And I get who cares about, parity and fairness. I don't necessarily, but the way the Premier League does it, where everyone gets a share, look at the incredible, some of the lower level teams in the Premier Leagues, the bottom half of the table, could absolutely wallop most other teams that are in, like, let's say 3rd to 10th spot.
In the Champions League, they could wallop teams. The Champions League is pretty freaking. The Champions League, I'm saying and referring to the English second league. The
Championship.
Championship League.
Yeah. It's
Those
crazy.
teams are awesome too.
Yeah, it's wild.
All right. Most unrealistic fan base.
I'll go back to Manchester United on that one. It's, what happened after Sir Alex Ferguson left has been constant capitulation and wrong decisions. But it also is, and I've been to Old Trafford multiple times. So I'm saying, from the atmosphere I felt in that stadium, the fans put a pressure. It reminds me a lot of Yankee fans, where it's like the fans are like, I should never have to go into a group chat and be embarrassed. Like, you should win every inning. You should win everything. And I never want to have to answer for why I'm a fan of this team.
I expect to come back.
Yeah. And there's a period of time where, like, you're going to go through the glory years. When I was very young, it was, Jorge Posada and Derek Jeter, glory years, right?
Yeah.
It was, what's his name? The Sandman and all that. Like, Ramirez? What was his name?
Mariano
Rivera.
Yeah.
Thank you. There were those glory years. And it's like, all right, maybe there's going to be some down years after that before you rebuild. And maybe I get it. There's no promotion or relegation here, so there's no fear that you're just going to drop out of Major League Baseball, which there should be, by the way.
There should be, absolutely.
100% should be.
Looking at you, Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah. I mean, when was the last time they were relevant, right? For me, the idea that Manchester United is this glory Manchester United, you were 100%. But part of what makes you a great organization is being able to adapt.
Yeah.
And they have not been able to. And I think Ruben Amorim maybe deserved a little bit more time. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I could be wrong.
They didn't give players time. They gave Xerxes, 4 games, and they were booing him.
Done. Yeah, and my biggest complaint with soccer fans in general around the world, especially in England, is, remember when Ruud van Nistelrooy was an interim manager for 4 matches? For 4 matches of Manchester United? The media over there and the fans, the Twitter, everywhere, group chats were going crazy about how he looked so managerial. Oh my God, he looks managerial. Look at him on the sideline. He wears a suit jacket with a blazer. You do great there. He wears a turtleneck and he stands there. He has a lot of confidence. It's like, that's not what makes a manager. And he got a job after that and he sucked.
Yeah.
That's not what makes a manager. They just want this omnipotent figure. It's like,
they want to look the part. They wanted someone to look the part.
Stalin would get a shot at being a manager in the Premier League because he's very stoic. It's like, that's not enough.
He loves a
By
uniform.
the way, you mentioned Sociedad. I would be the second from my neighborhood to be a manager overseas because Matarazzo just got hired by Sociedad.
Pellegrino Matarazzo.
Yeah. Just
Where's
beat
he
Barcelona.
from?
Fairlawn, New Jersey.
He's from Fairlawn.
Yes,
That's
sir.
right.
Just beat Barcelona.
So a manager of Real Sociedad calls it Taylor ham. That's crazy.
Yeah.
No, it's pork roll.
No, where are you from?
I'm from Central Jersey
There's
originally.
that doesn't
no,
make
it's
See,
sense.
I've had Taylor
That
ham. I know that
it's
everyone
pork
calls it
roll,
pork roll.
and not
By the
for
way,
nothing.
there's no Central Jersey.
No, there is.
No, you either
We've
north
had
or
this
south.
discussion before.
Yeah, it's either north or south, and it's defined by what you call it. So if you say pork roll, buddy, you're from South Jersey.
Listen, on the label of the product itself, even the Trenton one,
The
it
government
says pork
made him
roll.
do it, and he fought it to the
Sorry.
bitter end. And now you're siding with the
It's
man.
pork roll. I'm sorry.
That
It
man
says
died.
on the package pork roll.
That
Even
man-
John Taylor's version, it says pork roll.
because the government forced him to do it. And by the way, that man died probably of sodium poisoning, based on his product alone. And he died wishing it was still called John Taylor's ham. So that is Taylor ham.
I'm sorry, no.
All right, next question.
No.
Last one here. What fan base would you not want to meet in a dark alley?
That's a great
Ooh,
one.
I like
Millwall.
that.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, Millwall. One of the first games I ever saw in my life was a Millwall game, and they beat up the guy. One of the fans beat up a cop who was wearing like one of those bobby hats, those tall hats. They got into a fight. He won the fight, took the hat off the cop, and put it on himself, and went back to his seat. And I'm an American sports fan. I'm thinking, okay, the SWAT team lands
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This match is over. The match kept going. The cameras are half on the match, half on this guy. Somebody elbows, like nudges him a little bit and goes, the camera's on you. He takes the hat off and puts it under his jacket as if we can't see it.
Now I'm gonna
That
be
guy
funny
got
and-
to finish watching the game. No one, how? I was like, they would have there'd be a perimeter of 3 miles around the stadium locked down if that happened in America. That for me, where I was like, yo, I want no problems with Millwall fans. And then I found out about them and I was like, okay, my instinct was correct.
Mm-hmm.
I had a feeling it was going to be that, and we do love you, Millwall. We are big fans of
Yes.
all the support.
Absolutely. And if they're mad at me, Red Star Belgrade. Dude, I've seen what happens in that stadium. Don't be mad at me ever.
No Dynamo Kiev in there.
No.
just
Nothing with Dynamo, actually.
No.
Look at the history of that.
Yeah.
You're an Arsenal guy.
Big.
Your co-host
Mhm.
is an Everton guy.
Yeah.
You got the upper hand December, first go-around, 1-0 win.
Mhm.
On the road at Hill Dickinson. I'm just wondering, do you guys make a wager on those head-to-heads?
It's called the Cooligans Derby. We went to one year, and Arsenal, we were winning until the very end, and then Damari Gray scored a screamer, and I can't remember if it ended up being a draw or a loss. I think it was a loss. So tough. This is a tough team to beat, and for some reason, right when we need to beat them, we tend not to. So I'm always worried about going into a match against any team that like bunkers down like they do.
Yeah.
You
So
know what I mean?
what I'm just wondering, what do you guys put on the line for the return bout March 15th?
We tend to not really put a wager on it. We did that early, and then Christian just kept losing. So his fault. He picked this team. He didn't have a Premier League team when we started the show.
Right.
I think the first 4 episodes is him deciding. And I was trying to make him an Arsenal fan because I'm like, it's going to make everything so much easier. if
Yeah,
he's just also an
sure.
Arsenal fan. And he refused to do it. And he loved Romelu Lukaku, so he went with Everton. How'd that work out for you? I think maybe we will. I'm so nervous about having confidence this season that I'm not like actually doing any of those things where I
Okay.
normally would.
All
But
right.
maybe we'll put a wager on it. Maybe he'll have to buy me lunch. or
This
something.
Everton team's pretty good though.
Yeah.
I actually like the Grealish ad. We joke when Christian was here. I was like, "Oh, you guys added Grealish," and he just kind of kept quiet. I guess he's not a big fan of Mr. Grealish. There wasn't before.
He
joined
is
the team.
now. Yeah,
He's now.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I-
Great.
What's not to like?
Well, you bring in someone who's won a treble, you're going to learn a few things. You know what I mean? That guy won a quadruple because he won at the bar as well. He loves to party.
You know,
He
it's funny,
does.
by the way, when I had you guys on at the other place, it was right before Hudson River Derby.
Yeah.
Or as I like to call it, the Big Apple Classico, but that never got any traction.
very
You guys
nice.
were supposed to help me out with that.
Yeah.
Never happened. But I came up and sat with you guys in the FC supporters section
Yeah.
at what used to be Red Bull Arena. And if I remember correctly, the home team jumped out to like a 3-0 lead 15 minutes in, and they kicked me out of
Yeah.
the FC section.
Gotta go.
They're like, you're a jinx, you're horrible, get out. Seriously.
He was
Oh,
wearing-
yeah,
he
they
was-
were mad.
He was wearing a red blazer. What
They
are you
were
going to
mad.
do?
No, I had a blue one.
I know.
that day.
I'm only messing with you. You got to get out. Bit of a jinx. Yeah, we lost a lot of those early ones.
Yeah.
the games that happen at City Field, the atmosphere is incredible.
Absolutely.
That neighborhood loves soccer. They are ready for soccer. And it's like, I want my team to play in that neighborhood. I even thought about maybe moving close by to like downtown Flushing or something, just because I want to be.
Queens is nice. I love a story.
Queens is great.
Woodside. Queens is great.
First of all, people who know nothing about New York think the best food is in Manhattan.
Nope.
They have great restaurants in Manhattan. The real food is in Queens. Queens is like traveling through the entire world in one day. It's the greatest. So I love spending. I spend a ton of time in Queens. Maybe move over there if the chips fall that way. But the fact that they're getting their own stadium is insane to me. And all of like the super luxurious seats and suites are all 100% sold out.
Yeah.
They sold out in a day.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's going to be great.
The atmosphere is already great.
It's going to be great. I'm curious to know, though, because apparently they're keeping the training ground up in Rockland County, which is going to be very interesting because Rockland County to Queens is not exactly a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah, you would imagine they'd probably go to Long Island, right? But I guess not. They built the whole facility over there. It's a beautiful facility, too.
Yep.
I didn't know much about, like, I've been to NFL facilities, and they're like, it's like where the Oregon Ducks, training. It's like the most... You feel like you're walking through like where they make soldiers. You know what I mean? Like, this is insane. Like the technology and the medical stuff that's available.
Yeah.
And then I've been to like where Arsenal train, and I'm like, yo, this is crazy. This is like
they got the best sports science there going on.
Not in England.
Not in
No,
England, really?
Dude, I looked at it and I was like, bro, this feels like the difference between like JFK and like the old Kansas City airport, where you're like, is this a strip mall that planes land out of? Soccer's not into the like their
That's
physio,
shocking.
their medical rooms are tiny. There's
Yeah.
like 2 tables. Where like NFL, there's one for every player.
Yeah.
So the fact that when I went to the facilities in was it Orangeburg?
yeah.
Orangeburg. I expected it. I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna be impressed. And yeah, no, it's not an NFL one at all.
Yeah.
But I was wildly impressed.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is top notch. This would be the envy of anyone in Europe.
Yeah.
I mean, if you come to if any European player ever does a tour there, you might sign for this team. It's absolutely incredible.
That's unbelievable. I would have thought that they would have so much better medical facilities over there.
I think they're
especially for
starting
Arsenal.
now.
They're realizing.
There's a Sam Allardyce, who's a famous coach. When he played for the Tampa Bay Rowdies in the NASL.
Yep.
He came to America. He told the story that he was like smoking a cigarette and like trying to stretch his hip.
Yeah.
He had like a really bad hip or quad injury. And one of the guys from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where they used to train, was like, "What's wrong?" And he explained. He goes, "Well, come in. I'm like the medical guy." And he did a scan. He took an MRI this is what, the maybe 80s?
Yeah.
He took an MRI. And he was like, "Oh, you have like scar tissue in your muscle. We need to massage it out." So he massaged it. He said his hip never hurt. He's like, no one in England knew what to do, and this guy in 5 minutes knew what to do.
If you could relate one American team to Arsenal, who is the team most like here in the States?
I'd probably say right now it's probably tough to say. Remember that run where the Nets had Jason Kidd, and they were like, the also rans. The West was so tough. They basically got there every year and couldn't really get over the line. Maybe the Buffalo Bills back in the day where they were like going to 4 Super Bowls in a row and losing every one.
Still today too with the Bills.
Yeah, the Bills now, there's so much confidence in them, and they seem they can't get over the line. Kind of that. I think the difference between all of those and this is that Arsenal keeps retooling, and it felt like all of those references I made, they kept saying, like, we'll get them next year. Maybe they'll add a small piece here, a small piece there. Mikel Arteta keeps changing everything, keeps bringing in more bigger, stouter guys and being smart, bringing in set-piece coaches and throw-in coaches. All these, like, he's doing what it takes to get over the line, and he's a new coach, right? The first major job was with us. So there's something about it where it still feels inspirational where those didn't, you know? Have you picked a team yet?
I haven't.
Come on. What are you wasting time for?
Here's my brief story. I liked La Liga first. I was being contrarian, and I liked Girona when they were really good.
Yeah.
When they had Jan Couto and they had
Michel was the manager.
and they went to the fourth and the third or fourth. I think it was,
was it?
like 3 years ago.
Aleix Garcia, right?
Yeah, and they
Dude,
were awesome.
incredible, yeah.
And they were it was like 6-3 were all the games. I was like, fuck. It was right after the World Cup.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I love scoring.
But they're a feeder club. So
They
it's
were a
tough
feeder
to-
club. I didn't know that, though. So I just thought, oh, this is great. They shoot Game of Thrones there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful stadium. So I'm like, I'm going to get this kit. I'm going to be. And then I found out that they're a feeder club for Manchester City.
And by the way, New York City FC is as well, but at least it's its own league. Like, and while yes, La Liga is a different league, there's a little bit better chance that New York City City, and they have, will win MLS Cup, then Girona will ever be able to keep those players, as you've seen,
exactly,
to win La Liga.
And it's brutal. So it's like you get this, and then the next year they're in the Champions League, and all the players are gone, and they're just getting run out of the stadium.
Wallop.
It's like, it's not fun. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm out. I'm still for them. I still like them, but I'm still agnostic on teams. I like all the games. I do have a little place in my heart for Griezmann because he's the fantasy football. I found out he loved fantasy football. Yeah. It's like, this guy, how does he have time?
He loves American sports, man. He loves America,
And on top of that, like, if you saw him, you'd be like, that guy's the great football player. Like, he doesn't look like it.
He's a French guy who speaks with a Spanish accent but drinks mate like he's Argentinian. It's like the most confusing guy.
He's so confusing.
He's so international.
He's
He's very Queens.
He is. He'd be perfect coming out here. When he comes out and plays for NYCFC, I will jump on board that. I couldn't get onto Atleti yet because, it's so far it's just been, I'm Swedish. So they're probably not going to make the World Cup this year. The women were good.
Yeah.
Isak, we just talked about Isak. I just can't believe that they are not going to make the World Cup with all the talent they have. It really is. I know that they're going to possibly backdoor it in.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hopeful, but I'm not that hopeful.
Nice.
I haven't picked one yet. I'm going around, and it kind of helps me because I'm going to all these bars and meeting people, and not having a team means I'm not going to be like...
You're a free agent.
I'm a free agent. I'm predisposed. They like me. They're more likely to listen instead of like me doing Arsenal does this or Newcastle does that.
And that did stop us early on. People were like, you're just an Arsenal fan. Like, I couldn't be ultra critical of Manchester United or anyone. You're just an Arsenal. You're bitter. It's like, no, I'm looking at the game from an impartial point of view, but it's tough. La Liga, I don't have a club. I'm partial to Real Betis, but I'm not.
Betis is a fun team.
Just because they throw the teddy bears and the club loves the community, and also that's where our accent comes from. The Caribbean accent comes from like Andalus and the Canary
I have family
Islands.
in Sevilla. I actually have family
so
in Sevilla.
They kind of sound like us when they talk. So there's and if you ever look up the history, like all of those guys had to move to the north to get jobs back in the day. So everyone kind of laughs at them and talks about them. And I'm always like, what team is in the hood? Like, what's the most disrespecting? That's because it feels, again, I'm from Newark, so it feels like that's us. The Real Betis is that, but I don't have a club. So when I talk about La Liga, no one can complain.
Yeah.
I'm talking about it from a fan perspective. My advice to you would be find players you like the way they play, like you've done with Griezmann.
Yeah.
And find managers that have tactics you like you did with Michel. Do that because
I like goals.
That just becomes so much more fun.
I appreciate Sean Dyche, but goddamn,
oh my God,
boring
no,
soccer.
God.
It's
the
so
worst.
boring to watch.
Don't make me do it. They should only air those games in black and white. There's no reason why we're doing it. No, it's embarrassing.
It's so painful to watch. It's so painful to watch.
And by the way, he's like an EDM fan and goes to raves. Did you know that?
I did not.
It's the last thing you'd expect. But
Definitely not.
He'll go to Coachella.
Yeah, he looks nothing like it. He looks like he's going to go out and have an English breakfast, and then he's going to go and
He looks like he'd have really bad opinions on immigration, but he's like the opposite of that.
And he's a barrister. He's got the wig on.
He's
Absolutely.
He's like so cool. I'm like, why are your tactics so 1940?
That's very interesting. I kind of liked Maresco because he looked a little like me on the Chelsea team, and I'm not a Chelsea fan. I want to be very clear, but I do enjoy Cole Palmer. But I liked Maresco. I felt bad for him when he got.
Dude, he was great.
We joked about like, Sean will be your stunt double there. I was like, I'll look like Maresco there. He's a very handsome guy.
I was in the VIP room at the Club World Cup, and I saw a woman and a bunch of kids walking by with Maresco jerseys on, Chelsea jerseys, and I'm like, all right, clearly. You're not a fan of the coach to get the name. This must be the family.
Yeah.
So I stopped her and I said in Spanish, are you Miss Maresca? And she's like, yeah. I go, I'm sorry to bother you, but could you tell your husband I'm an Arsenal fan, yet I really love his tactics and the way he does like XYZ. I kind of explained one or two things. I was like, bro, huge fan of what he's doing. I hope he gets to keep that job for a long time. Just don't beat Arsenal. And she kind of laughed. She goes, hey, I really appreciate that. She's like, people who know him, his wife, aren't always as nice as you. And
really?
I'm sure people will be like,
shocked,
tell him he sucks, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, how toxic soccer fans can be. But I was just like, I just really appreciate the tactics. I just hope he loses to Arsenal.
He brought them to the Club World Cup against PSG. That was a
beat
great game. They beat him.
And Luis Enrique might be the best manager in the world.
I'm shocked they let him go, but it's it's the same as
he's going to be the manager of City next year. So
that'll be interesting.
Pep's leaving, so I guarantee.
You think? Oh wow!
Yeah. I think that's why they fired him because there was already an agreement. They were like, well, then we can't trust that you're going to care.
I'm shocked Pep's leaving. That's I
That's why his wife broke up with him because he promised he wouldn't sign the contract extension. Now he's back with his wife, thank God.
So he did a Tom Brady Giselle thing.
Yeah, literally the exact same thing. But yeah, he promised he would be done because, this takes over your life.
Yeah.
Roberto Martinez, a very famous coach, his living room, he got an L-shaped couch, and his wife was like, "Oh, you get one side and I get the other." And then she looked up and realized he put 2 TVs because she would want to watch television and he wanted to watch football and tactics. So he sits on one couch looking at one TV, she sits on the other. As she complains, she's like, "We're in the same room," and it's like, "We're not in the same room. You refuse to do anything with me." And he was like, "I have to do this." It takes over your life. So she wanted Pep back. She wanted her husband back. And he was like, again, he said he wouldn't, and then he signs an extension. So he promised who knows if he'll do it, but he said he was leaving at the end of the season.
She hasn't found a jiu-jitsu instructor yet?
Wow. Wow.
Sorry.
Hey.
I had to go there. Go there.
Nice.
I love Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady's awesome. I'm pro Tom.
Yeah.
I feel kind of bad, but yeah, she married the jiu-jitsu
Yeah, he's a
instructor.
weirdo with food.
He is a weirdo with food.
Also made out with his kids, so you never know.
That's how you get skinny and become a fucking weirdo.
You gotta be. Yeah, he doesn't need nightshades. Google that because it's pretty much everything.
Alexis Guerreros, Soccer Cooligans, cannot thank you enough.
Of course.
For dropping by. This has been a blast.
Honor. We need to meet again in 8 years.
8 years from now on your birthday again.
There you go. Do
May
episode
1st.
3.
That's very funny. That's Sean Castles. I'm Marc and Sean. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time.
This has been the Ultra World Podcast, the soccer fan's voice from the stands, with your hosts, Marc and Sean and Sean Castles. Our executive producer is Sue Zizza. Marc and Sean and Sean Castles are co-producers. David Shin is our master engineer. Assistant producer Avery Gehrig, and I'm Alicia Antwine. To be a guest on the Ultra World Podcast or learn all about sponsorship opportunities, send an email to ultraworldpod@gmail.com. Be sure to follow the show on all the social media platforms at Ultra World Pod. Copyright 2026. All rights reserved, Ultra World Podcast, LLC.